La 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 la. One sip of water before I start. That's the trick. Living and breathing La Vida Boa. Welcome to the Boa Life Podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Demore, alongside host Nick Colhay. We're here to help. We're here to listen. We're here to talk. We're here to reflect. And we're here to find the answer to the question at hand. What is a good life and how can we live it?
Well said, Stephen. Welcome to the Boa Life Podcast. My name's Nick Colhay. I'm your co-host. Welcome to episode number 9. You ready to do this, Steve?
Let's go. Oh, I love that. That was fantastic. I'm running out of ways to say let's go. I'm like nervous. I'm going to figure something out.
It's endless.
It is endless.
Endless possibilities.
Here we are, episode 9. Feeling fantastic.
Hey, Steve.
How's it going?
How you doing, bud?
Just I'm doing well. I'm going to be honest, a little tired, back's a little hurt. I went on a vacation and it was too short. And you come back. The thing about vacations is you come back and you're like trying to catch up, and it almost makes the vacation not worth it. But of course, the vacation's worth it.
Always worth it. But you're right. You know, you often hear vacation from the vacation.
Ooh, if I could do that, that would be next level, you know?
What does that even mean? Like when people say that, a vacation from the vacation, how do you recharge to get back to normal life?
I guess you add a day of like decompression. It kind of makes sense, you know? It's like.
But wouldn't that extra day just be another regular vacation?
That's a very interesting point, Nick. And I would probably err on the side of caution here and say it's a little different if you're in a different area. You know, if you were in like Florida and then you came home and you stayed a day prior to going back. What about a staycation? Is that a vacation?
I've never done a staycation.
Would you need to take a day after that?
That's very true. I guess
I
it
don't
depends on home life.
Yeah, I don't know. These are questions to ponder for sure.
Did you live the Boa life on your vacation?
I did. I got to be honest. I lived the Boa life, except for the fact that I didn't do a lot of exercising. I ate probably too much, but spent quality time with my family. Try to relax. Try not to worry too much about work. So it was definitely a great experience with family and an ability to recharge my batteries a little and come back and kind of deal with the day-and-day stress and struggle of, you know, the Boa life, sacrificing, right? Working hard and then having some fun to balance it all out. So it was a win-win for me. I wish it was a little longer. Looking forward to the next vacation, wherever that may be and whenever that may be. But it was fantastic.
Nice, yeah. I got one coming up too.
Let's say
heading back down to the beach with the fam. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, well, beat the sun and have the Boa life. You're gonna be doing it all.
Beat the sun. I don't know if I'll beat the sun down there. As your own boss, how much vacation time do you allow yourself a year?
It's not very much. I would think that being in charge of my own scheduling, that I would have liberated myself a little more than I have. It's tough, you know. Again, going through, you know, a peak in what I do and to try to find time is tough. Never mind to vacation. I mean, time to eat lunch. I know we spoke briefly about that. I don't know, on camera maybe before, how you didn't even have a break today. It's like when you're busy, sometimes you don't have enough time to do a lot of things, never mind a vacation. Being on your own is tough. It's tough because, especially me, I don't have, you know, help. I'm doing most of the stuff myself. To find that time to go do something like a vacation is really hard, but you find a way. You got to just schedule it, work around it, hope for the best, and it worked out. And you know, there was nothing, no emergencies that needed to be dealt with, and it was pretty stress free. So I appreciate that. I'm very blessed and grateful for that. And in the future, I got to just find a way to do it. You know,
absolutely. Yeah, part of living that good life is, stepping back sometimes, take in that relaxation mode with the family. You need that quality time. You're entitled to it. You work your butt off.
I think it gives you something to look forward to, work hard for. If you can't reap the benefits of the hard work, then what's really the point, right?
True.
But it was nice. It was time to reflect on a lot of stuff too. I had a lot of time to think and relax, and even think about this thing that we're doing here, and super excited for it. Anticipating like future episodes and guests, and reflecting on the past. And I know we've done a couple of these, just you and I. It's a definite transition from having a guest. It's like a crutch to have the guest, and they can kind of take the reins and occupy a lot of the space and answer the questions we ask. And it takes a lot of pressure off you and I when we're just kind of the ones talking. But in reflecting on some of this, I couldn't wait to see some of it. And we were able to see some of it, and pleasantly surprised with some of it. And then I want to know how my reflection on what I thought happened and versus what actually did happen after you see it. It was just strange. I was pleasantly surprised. Like, what were you?
Kind of like an outer body experience, because we first time seeing ourselves on camera, something we did. You're right. You look back on it, it's completely different from what you remember. Being a couple weeks out, it was surprising, but definitely pleasantly surprised. Like you said, I didn't look as bad as I thought I did. My own opinion. You guys will be the judge of that.
You look great.
It sounded different.
Yeah.
No, but it was good. It was a good learning experience, watching it and reflecting on it immediately.
Yeah.
So comparing it to what you thought as to what we actually saw. And that's important. I think, very critical of myself. That's natural. I think that's part of improving. And I'm excited to see the next one.
Yeah, that's the hard part. That's why this is so hard to do, because it's like, you're oh my God, is that what I look like? Is that what I sound like? And it can be, it can be tough to do, but you kind of got to let go, enjoy the experience, and then, try to improve the things you don't like, and keep doing the things you do. I think we've been lucky we've had great guests on.
Yeah, we've had awesome guests, and you're right. For them, it was like a crutch to us. So we had the easy way out when we were, pinning them in the middle and making sure, we got the most out of them for the hour that we're here. But you're right. Every guest has been awesome.
And it was a great experience to have the wives on. We had talked about it. And then, there it was front and center having them. And I can't wait to watch what that's like, because I know what I think it was like, and then to actually see it, come to life in an actual a video and audio, and see if it's exactly how we remember it. And I just love bringing people into this experiment. It's pretty cool, and we're obviously into it, and friends and family that little by little are understanding what we're doing, their input and stuff. I just like how it's growing organically. I want to tell everyone I know about it, and then sometimes I'm like, I don't want to tell them right away. I want to kind of let it come out little by little. It's like, what's your point of view on that? Are you like telling the world, screaming it from the rooftops? Like, what are you doing?
So no, I haven't even told too many people. Obviously, immediate family knows, as we discussed. The wives are on, some other close friends we have on, so they know. But the world, no.
Yeah.
I really haven't. I want it, like you said, I want it to be organic. I don't want the anticipation to be built up so much that we're a disappointment, because I'm critical of myself.
We're going to be a giant disappointment, Nick. That's fine. We're going to, there's a lot of room for improvement. Eventually, we're going to be superstars. Don't you worry.
Yeah, exactly. At the same time, no, I look at it, you're critical of yourself. So I'm thinking, how bad I might look, or how much rejection we might receive from it when it goes out. And at the same time, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like you said from the beginning, you don't care what people think of you. You're gonna do what you want to do no matter what.
Yeah, no, and that kind of gave me the courage, and I'm sure it did you. It's like when you're doing things for the right reasons, like it is what it is, and even in every facet of life, it's like if you're worried about what everyone else is gonna say when you're undertaking these things, no matter what it is, then it's gonna be a problem, because there's gonna be plenty of people for whatever reason that may be criticizing, or everybody has an opinion, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to listen to naysayers, half the time. You don't know what the motives are. And at the end of the day, like I said, we're on a mission. We're here to better ourselves, to help other people, and even in doing this, just improving every day, getting out here. It's, to me, it's fascinating that even the short amount of time we've been doing this, it's just, I'm not completely comfortable obviously yet, but little by little it gets easier. And here we are, and I'm excited every day that I come and do this, whether it's just you and I, whether it's a guest. I project into the future where I think it's going to go, and to me it's the start of a great journey. I keep saying that, but to me it's fantastic. I can't wait to see where we bring this one day.
Yeah, that's you make a good point, because being away from our families and being a little selfish with our time here, you got to make it worth it. And when you look forward to coming back every time and actually doing it, that's when you love it and it doesn't feel like work. So I'm in the same boat. I feel the same way. I'm excited to get more people on and tell everyone a little bit more about myself, little by little.
Yeah, well, we don't want to let it all out there right away, my friend.
Little by little, little by little.
We might scare the viewers. They won't want to watch. I definitely can't unpack too much. Just going to definitely let them in little by little. But, it's fascinating to be sitting here and experiencing this with someone else. I can't even imagine if I was by myself, I probably would just quit at some point. I love the accountability that we have as a team. I love that we can, use each other as crutches from here and then. But more importantly, I miss when we don't do this. And I know when you go on vacation and we're not going to be able to do this, it's going to be a sad day.
Very sad, my friend. Very sad.
Now,
maybe we could do a virtual.
We could do it.
Everything's virtual these days, right?
You know what? We got to talk. Justin, is this something that we can do?
Make it happen.
A remote podcast? I hold my phone, he holds his phone, and we just go crazy?
Yeah.
Well, we got to try it all. We're here to be consistent, right?
That's right.
We're here to be consistent, but we're here to be creative and do some different stuff here and there. Why don't you talk to me about what you're wearing there?
All right. So what you see here, this is a logo I created, and it's a crown, obviously, but there's a special word inside the crown. It's consistency. I think we discussed this a few episodes back. It's been one of the most important words to me. I know it's weird to say, like, important word, but it's something you live by to go through your daily routine with a goal in mind, with whatever you do. And this helps me be disciplined and helps me remember that in order to achieve things and feel the way you want to feel, you got to be consistent with it. So it's a word I chose to put inside of a crown, and the significance of the crown is what's the significance of a crown?
King.
There you go. Exactly my thoughts. So a long time ago, I had this thought. I'm like, consistency is king, and how could I make that into a logo and make people look at it and think about it for a minute? And this is what I came up with.
I love it. I love it. I have a shirt that looks great on me. I hope to one day wear it so the public can see how fantastic it looks on me. Speaking of logos, we're really struggling. We got what I think conceptually is a great logo, but we're struggling to really pick and pick the one we want to go with. And it's kind of funny because it's like we're being like perfectionists. We want to make sure it's right, and it's the little things, right? We want to make sure that we get the little things right. But consistency, showing up, whether it's the gym or to every Thursday to do the podcast or whatever it is, it's all about consistency. I think that is paramount. I try to be as consistent as I can as a parent, as a friend, in my career. It's tough, showing up and doing what you have to do every day is tough.
Yeah. No, it gives you a sense of direction. Because if you don't have any thoughts in mind, you don't know what to do, you're like, well, break it down to the basics. Be consistent with what's important to you, your friends, and your family, and stick to it. And that's how you improve daily.
Yeah. It's funny. There's some things, some reoccurring themes that we continue to see in our conversations with people, but then there's always the subtle differences. It's like, you see people talk about consistency and plans and achieving what they want, and other people talking about how, serendipitous moments and just a series of events got them to where they are. It's like, it's funny how everybody perceives things differently and how they get to certain places. But I always see, no matter how they perceive it, I always see like a consistency in some of the things that they do, right, to get to where they want to go, right? They're following through. They're going with their gut. You know, they're planning it out whether they know it or not. So to me, you know, half of these discussions that we have with people, you kind of unfold and unpack some of the secrets behind their success. And I think as a viewer of this show, you're gonna see that in conversations with people, that a lot of the things that work for one person work for the next person. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Well said. And being consistent, I just want to make clear, doesn't mean it has to be so clear cut, black and white. Like, we consistently, you know, wake up, go to work, brush our teeth, eat dinner with the family, but it doesn't have to be that black and white. As long as you're striving to be better, being consistent with making good decisions, you know, that counts too. So I hope people understand that. It doesn't have to be, like I said, so clear cut, written down, you know, step by step.
Right, and you got to take a vacation every once in a while, right?
Exactly.
You consistently go to work, but every once in a while, I got to let myself off the hook, go on vacation, or maybe not run while I'm on vacation. I don't think you do that though.
I definitely run all the time, and I'm trying to be as consistent as possible with workouts, and you know, just physically beating myself up.
It's smart because like sometimes, you know, you stop doing something, it's hard to keep it a habit, right?
Well,
it's like it could quickly stop.
Look,
even sleeping and everything.
Absolutely. And there is such thing as overtraining. So you have to be smart about it. And with that comes time, because, you know, I look 10 years, 15, 20 years back. I thought I was consistent with stuff, and I just laugh like it's a joke now looking back at it. So, yeah, it takes time. You got to be disciplined. You got to be consistent, and you have to learn from your mistakes, see what works, what doesn't, and go from there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm trying to always create good habits and be healthy. And when I'm not making, you know, good choices and being consistent, that's where I really fall off, you know, and that's not something that you want to be doing, right? You don't want to be falling off of making good decisions and healthy decisions that can impact your life in a good way.
You know what, though? When you fall off, you can only get back up, and it's getting back up that matters. So people fall all the time. You know, I was listening to an audiobook recently. I'm actually not done with it yet, but it's called Winning, and it's by the trainer who trained Michael Jordan and then Kobe Bryant and a bunch of other professional athletes. And he's just all about what it takes to win, you know? It's kind of savage to listen to, because he makes it sound so hard, but it's about being consistently disciplined, and you know, you're not going to make everyone happy, so you got to do what's best for you.
Do you imagine the level of sacrifice that you have to make to get to that level, like the Michael Jordans, the Tiger Woods? I mean, you really got to commit yourself to really a singular purpose in life. I always said to my kids, like, if you want to be successful, you could be uber successful, but you better make sure that you dedicate your life to being, you know, really good at one thing. You know, if you want to be the top in whatever field it is. I feel like, you know, speaking of books and reading, you know, the 10,000 hours to master something.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to be good at something, you got to put time. You can be born with some natural abilities to be good at something, you know, musician or, you know, whatever it is. But if you don't put in the work, you know, you're not going to get to that level. And some of these athletes, like the ones that you'll remember, you may imagine the work and the sacrifice that they had to put in to get where they are. I mean, it's just, you hear it over and over again. You know, you hear the top athletes and they're the first ones in the gym, you know. Yep. I remember listening to a podcast, a golfing podcast, and this young man who had just gotten to the U.S. Open was, you know, wanted to show up and do good, and he was like, I'm going to get there super early. I'm going to be the first one hitting balls, and you know, he gets to the driving range, and guess who's there already? Tiger Woods.
Yep.
you know, and you're like, sometimes there's no mystery to greatness, right? It's about putting in the work. And I try to do that in any area that I want to be good at, you know, learn, put in the work. And then it's like practice doesn't make perfect, you know, perfect practice makes perfect.
Yep.
The other thing too is you better make sure you're doing the right things to get better. So it's complicated, but some of it's not, you know, some of it's just in due time, you know.
Well, you put out a very important stat there, and I've actually read it too, and I think it's common knowledge. Maybe it's not. Maybe not everyone thinks about it, but yeah, to be a master at something, you have to put in at least 10,000 hours of it, which is crazy to think about, right?
Yeah. It's a lot of time.
That seems like a lot of time, but I guess, how do you value your time? But yeah, like as the trainer was saying, they're elite athletes and masters and winners at their craft, but they're terrible at everything else because they put their mind to one thing, and that's why they mastered it. That it totally consumes them, their goal to winning, and
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, a lot, because you see a lot of athletes that are horrible with money, make a tremendous amount of money, and then, before you know it, they're broke. It's like some of them recover from it. Depends how famous they were, but yeah, I guess that's, I mean, it's interesting that you say that because it's like part of the good life I've always said is, about balance. So there are sacrifices that you make when you achieve a level of something that's astonishing, like the best at something. You're going to lack in other areas. How can you not? And if you want to be, what they say, a jack of all trades, a master of none. I mean, that's not so bad maybe in the game of life.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to as a parent, it's like, do I want to be a successful podcaster and business person? Like, yeah. Do I want to do it to the extent that I would sacrifice time away from my family that's significant or my career? I mean, I hope not, but is that what's going to take for one day? I mean, for us to be, the Joe Rogans of the podcast world.
Well, it's funny you say that because in the same book, the trainer tells a story to start what his daughter said to him when he was packing to go away on a road trip with one of the teams. And she was pretty much like, "Daddy, why do you have to go away so much?" And his, typical response, "I need to provide for you and the family and put food on the table." And she says, if I don't eat as much, can you stay home? And it was like totally heartbreaking to listen to. And when you look at it like that, or if you've ever had to experience that with one of your children yourself, you can just imagine what it felt like. And then he goes on to say how he wants to be a role model for them to go after their dreams and make sure that they know that it's important to put hard work in whatever you're doing.
Yeah. Another important thing in being a good parent, modeling good behavior.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and then you need perspective and you got to be honest with yourself. Are you really doing this for your kids? Are you doing it for yourself? Selfish reasons. We've echoed this time and time again. Sometimes you got to be selfish in order to do what needs to be done for your kids, right? Take care of yourself first, whether it's your health, because if you're not around, you can't help them. But I mean, like anything else, you can go to extremes. And then if you're doing too much for yourself, are you then lacking in other areas, like being a parent? Tough. That's why this show is so important, and these conversations with our guests and with each other are so important because it allows people to like listen and understand and unpack some of the intricacies of life. I think right now people are really hard on themselves, and maybe not in a justifiable way because they have these perceptions and ideals of certain things that at this point I think in society are kind of out of whack, and that's why I think this conversation is important for people to know that, being ordinary and a breadth of things and different things is sometimes not a bad thing. Sometimes being the master of one thing is to the detriment of your family and your friends. And some people are willing to undertake those sacrifices to be the best, but, there's more to the story, So there's things that you have to go into knowing, what are the consequences of what are the consequences of what I'm undertaking, It's like what am I willing to give up? What am I risking? And you got to constantly ask yourself these questions. And as an athlete, when you're driven in such a way that
Get to that level.
Yeah, it's like, and you've seen guys like Tiger Woods. I mean, and I love Tiger Woods now. I mean, I didn't always like him. I liked him when he fell. Like, he felt more human to me. But it's like you wonder, growing up and having, a life dedicated to being the best golfer maybe ever, right? If he probably is. I mean, maybe somebody can make an argument that someone else is up there with him, but he's had some issues, and you wonder. It's like when your singular purpose in life is to be the best golfer, and then you achieve it, and then now you're trying to deal with being, a parent and being a friend, and then you struggle with it. Like if guys that are famous and are successful and have a lot of money, and they should have these kind of struggles. I mean, imagine the struggles of the ordinary person that can't get the help they need, and so it's like complicated stuff that we need to think through, and we need to appreciate and understand, so that we're not kind of repeating the same mistakes other people make.
You brought up a good example in Tiger Woods because, his dad, I think it may be both his parents, but we know his dad was obsessed with making him a good golfer. So in a weird way, you think to yourself, like, did the kid ever have a chance to do anything else? And that happens a lot with child athletes that, grow up to actually make it and be famous. Andre Agassi is another good example. I read a book on his life, and it was the same thing. Like, he was forced to hit millions of tennis balls over and over the years as a teenager, and look where it got him. But, he looks back and he says he hated tennis.
That's unbelievable.
So, yeah, it's just so weird. I think about wanting to do that with my own kids, even right now, them being so young. It's like, do you want to take them down that path to really dedicate your life for one thing for them, to see if they can actually make it and do it? And it's scary to think about. It's exciting, but it's scary as hell to think about at the same time, because you want them to be great. You want them to grow up and be, have everything and do everything much better than you did yourself,
Yeah, but good intentions can pave the way to hell.
It's like
most parents have great intentions for their kids, and then sometimes they spoil them rotten, or do things that destroy them, and it's not because they want to, and
the Williams sisters. That's the example I was thinking of too. I think it's well known as well that their father was pretty hard ass on them, and look where they're at.
Yeah,
not always in the nice way.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the motivation comes from not within, right? From outside factors.
So you think the parents in that sense are being selfish?
I mean, maybe their motivation. I think some parents probably are being selfish. They want to live through their kids, and then I think some parents, like I said, have great intentions, but that doesn't mean that they're not destroying their kids. And in some sense, maybe some of them help the kid, right? Maybe that path, but you never know. It's like, that's the hardest thing about being a parent is, you can have good motivations and destroy your kids, and you can have bad intentions and help them out.
Exactly.
It's like you have parents that treat one better than the other, and the one that's not treated as good is better for it.
I saw a meme the other day. Sorry to cut you off, but it just popped into my head. It was a cartoon meme, and it was like it was two pictures of the same guy. One is a businessman going to work, and the other guy sitting on the couch, being a bum, doing nothing. And the headline was, what's your motivation? And on both sides, for both of the guys in two completely different situations, he's like, my father was an alcoholic. So one chose the right road. One chose the wrong road. It's like, that's all you have to think about.
That's crazy. It's like the smoker.
Yeah.
Like you have the parent that smokes, the kid smokes, or a parent that smokes, the kid never wants to touch a cigarette.
Exactly.
I mean, so yeah, it's like, you don't know. And there's so many variables, so many, the path, the path less taken, you don't know how much of it is your own decision. Hey, listen, you get to the point where you can blame a lot of stuff on your childhood. You can blame it on this or that, but at some point you got to be accountable as a human being for yourself. And
all the time, if you're not accountable for yourself, you're just rolling through life.
Yeah.
looking for something that's not going
But
to
I'm
turn
doing.
out
I
good.
mean, in the defense of others, like I'm always looking for that because it's so much easier to make that as an excuse than have to look in the mirror and be like, I'm failing right now, and it's my fault. Like
Yes.
I'm not doing this. It's my fault. I have no one to blame but me. Like it's hard to do that.
I think that's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, and yeah, and frankly, most of the time that's exactly what it is. It's, you know, something you're not doing. It's like face the fact, fix it, you know?
Exactly.
And if you can't figure it out, keep trying to figure it out.
It's the hardest thing to do, but it's the only thing you need to do. Face it, fix it, realize that you might have messed up a little bit or screwed up and learn from it. Because look, for me, that's the only way I've ever learned.
Yeah. You know who doesn't make out good? Like famous kids. Like you show me a kid that was like famous as a kid and like don't have a major problem when they're growing up.
I know, but it's like,
why is that? Is it the fame? Is it the money? What is it?
I don't think they actually grow up to be a normal kid.
So it's like you want to push your kids to like be these like tremendous athletes early, and then it's like maybe you're not doing the right thing by them. I don't know. It's so hard. It's hard to figure. It's hard to figure out things for yourself. Never mind when you're in charge of another human being and trying to help them and raise them to be good people. It's like, I don't know. It's, you know,
when you
aren't we supposed to be giving people hope and answers on this show? I feel like we're just depressing them and teaching them that.
I feel I learn the best when I'm hardest on myself and kind of really going down that rabbit hole of things that people really don't want to think about. Like, am I being disciplined enough? Am I being consistent? You know, why did I do that? Why did I do this? But, you know, the important thing is looking back on each situation when I say that to myself and taking a positive out of it, as we've spoken about before. You know, what did I learn from it? So drop all the negativity, you know, regroup, drop all the negativity of what you thought, take that one little piece of whatever piece of information that's going to be helpful and take that with you for the next step.
I love that you said drop all that negativity. I feel like if there's one secret to my success and to my continued success, is that, you know, obviously you're going to have tragedy, you're going to have trials and tribulations, you're going to fall, you're going to have setbacks, but I mean, I always try to be optimistic, you know. It's like tomorrow can always be a better day. You know, tomorrow, the hope for tomorrow. And I feel like a lot of people I get this like negative feedback loop. Like, I'm not, and I know a lot of people, and I think it's the majority of people that feel that way. And it says you just want to like shake them. It's like, be positive, like everything's going to be all right. Like you can change your stars. Like,
you know, you say, tomorrow could be better. Something I always say is, you know, it could be worse. Like we could have it off so much worse. So people complain about something, whether it's traffic.
But you're flipping it to be positive though.
I know. It's like,
yeah, it's funny.
You look at the situation. It's like, do you really have it that bad? We're doing what we want right now in an air conditioned room, talking about whatever we want to. With hydration. With
fantastic water that we will not tell you who makes it.
Exactly. You're going to have to pay us to do that. And
can I tell you how fascinated I am that someone bottled water and makes money off of it?
It's unbelievable. And it's probably not even the best water for your body, but at least it's doing something good.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. That fascinates me.
That's all good.
But it's funny that I look at it like tomorrow could be better, and you look at it tomorrow can be worse. But both with the idea that like, listen, like it's okay. Like you're in a good position. Like
people don't realize how bad they could have it.
Well, it could always get worse.
It's hard to look. All right. The reason why I look at it that way is this, because it's hard to imagine something being so good unless you've experienced it before. Right. But look at it this way. Everyone's experienced something bad happen to them. That's the nature of life. Well, you know, we don't walk around picking daisies, you know, sipping the finest water on earth all day. You go through hardships every day. From the moment you wake up, you have to be disciplined and consistent and strive to do things that are hard. Every single step. Everything is hard.
Plus, I feel like we have a short memory of good things. I feel like in
Exactly.
order to like survive, we got to remember the bad things. Like
no one's gonna leave a
don't
good
go there.
comment.
That's bad. There's lions in there.
Yeah. No one's going to leave a good comment. You're always going to be criticized for what you do bad. Rarely do you get, you know, someone praising you for what you did. So
yeah, and that could distort you too. It's like all of a sudden you're getting too high on yourself. Then you're thinking maybe I'm king.
Well, good thing with this, I'm labeling it as, a word that we're all accustomed to.
The king of consistency. The king, like the key factor is consistency. But I love that. I must confess, I modeled my shirt the other day, sent you it in a text.
Yeah.
Justin, I didn't send it to you. I apologize. I'll make sure I forward it to you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it was slimming.
A model.
It was slimming.
You could be a model, and nowadays I'm seeing more, plus size models. And I don't want to necessarily say it that way, but I really don't know what other
Listen,
word
if you want to see the Pooh Steel, that will come out one day. I will throw that one out there.
Here's the thing. Growing up, we're only known to see skinny models, the very, very skinny models. So, like, these days, I look for clothes and stuff, and even, like, the slim fit, the athletic fit, there's guys your size and bigger.
Listen, let me tell you something.
It off.
I can't be shopping at the same place as you go.
No, I guarantee
Baby Gap, The Express, Banana Republic. Like,
you want to know where I saw those plus-size models was Express.
Did they really?
Yeah, man.
You've just opened my horizons up.
And these days, every piece of clothing is stretchy, so I love it. Why was I always buying so many stiff jeans that didn't have any give?
Listen, I just think back to my Catholic school days with the cotton polyester blue shirt that you'd run like sweat stains. I would literally sweat it through that you wouldn't even, you wouldn't even know the difference.
I know what color was the shirt?
It was like baby blue.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah?
For 12 years I had to wear
that must
a
be
tie.
like the stock
it's
uniform.
It's the typical parochial school color. It's like baby blue and navy blue, or maybe some of them had yellow. It was
now
either
the
yellow
kids
or
get to wear
blue.
like shorts and a shirt in the summer. We got like
they have polo shirts.
We'd have to still wear the tie, but we could have the short sleeves.
Yeah, exactly. Clip-on tie, that typical plaid.
I'm telling you that I hope they brought the uniforms into the next century. I don't know.
I might make my kid just wear it for the hell of it, just to see what.
Do a photo shoot with the old school wear.
It was funny because growing up wearing stuff like that, the public school kids were jealous of you because there was so much competition and thought that had to go into dressing yourself every day. So I'm like, man, I wish I could wear jeans to school, sweatpants, a hoodie. And then if I had any friends outside of private school, they were like, oh, I wish I could just wear that uniform every day.
The grass is always greener on the other side of the street. It's like if you were private, you were like, oh, I wish I could wear like sneakers and jeans.
Listen, a lot of people I know went to private school and then public school. So, they had the best of both worlds a little bit. Well, you never know. High school could have been much harder.
I went to parochial school and then I went to public school.
Yeah, see?
And it was quite an adjustment. I would say it was a little easier because I played sports, so it wasn't that bad, but it was different. And my school wasn't even that big. I went to a high school that, was, big enough. I went to Bethel High, but
yeah, I think yours was a lot bigger than mine.
Yeah.
I think I graduated with under 80 people.
Oh yeah, that's
much smaller.
Yeah. I mean, I ate lunch with more people than that. But I mean, like, imagine like a DHS, where you have it's like a small community college, for crying out loud.
Yeah, this supposedly the largest high school in the state for a couple years randomly throughout the past 20, 30 years.
I mean, I remember talking to my niece. Like, she could run into someone in the hallway that she never saw before. Like, I don't think I had that on my. I think pretty much anyone I would have seen in high school, I would have seen them at some point throughout my 4 years there. That's for sure. But it's that's another conversation to have another day. It's like, what differences there are versus parochial and public, and but I know for me it was one heck of an adjustment from going from parochial to public school. It was like completely different. But it's funny. It's like you look at them and they look at you, and it's like everybody's always like, oh, they have it better.
But you had a little click, I'm sure, because I'm sure some of those kids you were in school with followed the same path, going to public school. at least you had some people to
Yeah,
start off
there was
with.
like a mix. I would say half went to continued on the parochial education, and you'd have kids coming in and out from different areas.
I
Some
still
coming from
remember
public.
stepping in as a freshman. That was some scary stuff.
It's funny. It's like now that I'm having kids, it's like, and like my kids just graduated from the second grade, and that puts you in a new school. My son, my oldest, is in public school. My other son is, I don't like to call him my middle. He's my second son. My second son is still going to stay in the same school he's in, so he doesn't transition. And my daughter will start kindergarten next year. But as they go on to like the next school, it's like they become the big kid on campus, and now they're going to be like the little one. But freshman year, like I don't know how things are now. I just remember being a freshman was just awful.
I have no idea how things are now. I can't even imagine with every kid having a phone. I mean, we had to, conversate. We can just look down at the device walking through the hallways. We had no choice but to look at each other.
And when you left school, like you pretty much left school. I mean, we had beepers. Like beepers, and we didn't have cell phones. It's like you wanted to call somebody, you had to use a pay phone.
Yep.
You had to make sure they were home. With Instagram and this and that, it's like they're constantly connected all the time, which could be good, but also could be bad. It's kind of there's no. I wonder what they're like, how they disconnect. They probably don't.
I'm sure a lot of them don't. Well, you mentioned something a while ago about getting right into sports in high school, and I think that's important for all kids, no matter what it is. Just keep them busy. I think that's the thing to focus on when you're trying to get them off the tablets or the phone or off social media. Like, give them something to do.
I think it's important with adults, too. It's like everything's set up. It's like you want to have a good life, a good family life. It's like set yourself up for that. It's like go to work, come home, try to do dinner with the family, do things together. It's like create an environment that you can flourish in, right?
Why do you think I exercise?
Yeah.
I got to kill some time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll be sitting, watching Netflix.
Well, that's another thing. You sit down and knock on wood. Like I've tamed that beast. I was always. It's like I see my kids now. They love TV, and I'm like, oh, it's terrible. And it's like when I used to love TV, love watching movies, and it's like what a horrible waste of time.
I know.
But every once in a while, it's nice mindless time wasting.
You
can do that with YouTube and all other stuff. Hopefully, if you're wasting your time, viewers, you're doing it, watching our podcast, hopefully.
Yeah, hit the like button down below.
Subscribe.
Please, while we're at it.
Hit it. Swipe it. Do whatever you do.
I learned something new now. They got to ring the bell.
Ring the bell.
That will give them notifications. When
I can't wait till I can do that and sound competent. Like subscribe, swipe, ring the bell, write a love letter. Do whatever you want.
Leave a comment below.
Comment below.
We'll answer your questions.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a good idea. I mean, one of the best things about having a platform like this is being able to help people.
Right.
And we can only spit out so much knowledge, what we think people want to hear, but we don't know really what a lot of people might really want to hear. So
I agree. When there's feedback with the audience, it's going to be fantastic. Like right now, it's you get caught up in conversations. You don't know where they're going to go sometimes. They lead us into, various areas. But once we have, once we go live, not like I keep saying go live, like once we go live, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to American Idol. We're going live today. Today's contestant's Nick Cole. He's going to sing a song from the 80s. It's called Give Me Some of Your Money.
You could totally be a host.
Yeah.
I think
it's like,
this is the head start. You have a microphone in front of you now.
Once we connect, we can actually talk about things and answer people's fan mail. I can't wait to do that. I want to have a pen pal in Australia. If there's a viewer here that's watching from Australia, just write me. I'll write back.
Yes. theboalife@gmail.com.
We have an address.
Yeah, man.
We have an address, ladies and gentlemen. At this point, we will make sure that Justin puts it on the screen. It'll pop up right here under my hand. My email address. Our email address.
But this is episode number 9, so hopefully
this won't be for a while. But you reach out and touch us and tell us what you think, what questions you want answered.
Yeah.
No, but there's nothing like connecting to the audience and sharing experiences, trying to answer questions, giving people guidance. Maybe they want to give us some guidance. I listened to you guys talk the other day. You're in desperate need of help. This is what you need.
Yeah.
Feel free to email me. I can take all the help I can get.
I just want to hear someone say, I'm living the Boa life now since I ever started to listening to you.
Ever since
That's going to be really
that?
special. Just picking one little thing to do better, and life has gotten better week by week.
I love that. If hashtag the Boa life,
yeah.
Living the Boa life, living la vida Boa.
You know what?
Hashtag.
Something I've been really interested in, how I probably should have asked you this episode 1, but how was it growing up as a Boa descendant? I know there's some strong history to your roots coming to, Danbury, Connecticut.
Yeah, I mean, my grandfather came to this country and, started businesses and flourished and made a name for himself. I mean,
how many generations above you
so my
is he?
Yeah, so my grandfather, so it's obviously my mother was a Boa, and then my grandfather Jack Boa came to this country. I mean, I know when we have Ray on, he can tell about his journey here and how, my grandfather had, I think, a role in getting him here. But my grandfather left, his homeland to come here for a better life, and obviously to chase his love. My grandmother, who had come here earlier, it's a fascinating story, but came here with nothing. I think his first job was digging a grave. He was getting it was piecework. He basically got like 5 cents for every grave he dug, and ended up, starting with nothing and creating a fantastic life for his 4 daughters and his wife. And, the matriarch in our family now, my grandmother's still alive, 93 years old. And the history that in this area that is the Boa history, from at least my perspective with my grandfather, because there are his brothers, and is one of pride and entrepreneurial spirit and daring to dream and starting from nothing. It's like my family is the American dream, My mother worked in a bakery, waitress, became a special education teacher, and got married to my father, who again came here in his 20s from Portugal with nothing, and became a guidance coordinator at a local technical college here, and had a son who became a lawyer. It's like, I mean, humble beginnings, coming from no electricity, no heat, no bathroom, to living in the suburbs and raising a son that would, play soccer and go to college. Just, that's, the beauty of daring to dream. It's like when my father was born in the area he was born, I can't even imagine. I don't even think he could have fathomed, what life was going to be like what a plane was, or, at that point, he probably didn't know what a bathroom looked like. So, my roots and my history, I'm very proud of, and I, look forward to, speaking and talking about it and further episodes. But I'm very honored to be a descendant of my grandfather and for all the good he did. And, he wasn't perfect, but he was my grandfather, and I'm very proud of him and what he accomplished, and, the legacy he left for us. So,
what kind of, because as an outsider looking into the family, what kind of, I see that, there's so much success all around and similar stories to your father and your grandfather. What kind of, let's say, core values did they instill in all you guys, being, they were, you guys are pretty much first generation,
yeah,
right? Being born here. So you can't imagine what they went through. They
No.
can hear stories all day, but they obviously did it right, and they came here, and you guys are first generation. And growing up, what kind of take me through the core stuff? What was important?
Yeah, and in comparison to them, we lived a charmed life. But I think the habits they instilled with us are like, work hard, take responsibility for your actions, be a good person. You can do anything, if you put your mind to it. But
I know family's a big thing.
Yeah, helping each other out and yeah, families. You when my grandfather was alive, everyone was at Sunday lunch. Like,
Yeah.
you always got together. You spent a tremendous amount of time together, and that was it. Family, helping each other, working hard. These were the values that that still live on with me, and that that are going to live on with my kids. I would every year I would spend time in Portugal with my grandparents, and he liked to he was the type of guy that washed his car every day, tended to his garden, like to enjoy life too,
Yep.
like to have a drink here and there, and drive around and show us the world, show us his hometown, and all the different areas in Portugal. So he was a proud person. So I would say that the most important thing we learned was be good people, work hard, value your family and your community, and do your best. Which, I mean, growing up, that's kind of what my parents continued to instill in me, and what I'm trying to instill in my kids. Like, what are the lessons that you've learned growing up and the environment you grew up in?
A lot simpler than that. My parents were born here, met right in Danbury. And yeah, it's funny. I think back because I want to say it to my son a lot now, and I got to refrain from it. My mom was always like, life's not fair. It's the harsh truth, maybe, because when she would say that to me, it'd pretty much be me complaining that I didn't get something I wanted.
Yeah.
But, why should I get something I wanted? I didn't do anything to deserve it. And, other than that, growing up, oh geez, man, I come from a big family, immediate family. You talk about having a lot of,
Right.
Cousins and aunts and uncles that came over here and getting together with big Sunday lunches. It's like I had the core immediate family, 4 sisters, a brother, 2 parents in a very small household. So for me, growing up, I wanted to either be outside and have my own space inside and play with friends. And then, as I grew older, I just didn't want to be home. Again, I didn't have any space. I wanted to get out and then explore. So having the tight, small, immediate family, I wasn't able to necessarily, not in a way, I'm say it like this, I don't really mean it like this, but relate to how you grew up.
Right.
Because I had to go out and find those people, as you could probably consider, friends. They're technically family, cousins and stuff. I had to find those friends and develop my own, group. So it wasn't easy. But I am where I am today because of that. I don't know what it's like to be an only child.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's funny how everybody comes from different areas, and they grow up differently, and they get their experience, and then it develops them into the human beings they become. I was an only child. My mother couldn't have kids after she had me, and it was an interesting perspective because it was just me. But I was lucky that I grew up with cousins next door, and as you know, like the Portuguese, it's like if you're a 5th cousin once removed, it's like that's my cousin.
Doesn't matter.
It's like the whole city of Danbury is related one way or another if you're Portuguese. Yep. But socializing with family and having a big group of kids that happen to be my age too. We were all close in age. Was awesome, and definitely helped me develop to who I am and being social. And
do you think it's going to be harder? Let's say, in 5-10 years when your kids are running around with their cousins, when they can actually get behind a wheel and drive and do stuff and grow up together. Do you think it's going to be as easy for them as it was for you guys? I know the ultimate goal probably to lead them down that path, get together with
I hope so, because it's like, there's some commonality. It's like, you don't know what your kids are going to do when they get older, who they're going to associate with. But I mean, I think you and I have talked about this, what's one of the most important things of living the Boa life, I think, is surrounding yourself with people that have similar values. And they say that you're the sum of like the 5 people you're closest with. So, I mean, the Portuguese have a saying that, I don't know if it translates well, but I'm going to say it anyway. Like, if you hang around with shit, eventually you're going to smell like it. Like,
that seems pretty.
Like,
Straightforward to me.
It translates pretty well. So I mean, like,
when you say it in Portuguese, it obviously sounds better.
It's like it seems less brash, you know. It's like no, but if you hang out with people that if your friends aren't, I think that's your biggest fear as a parent, right? And growing up, like try to associate with good people, and if your kids get into the wrong crowd, and so it's like I guess that's the benefit of hanging out with your family as long as they're good people. But
Exactly.
you're lucky that your kids are like socializing, surrounding themselves with people that have similar values, and
Yes, very true.
and
Keep them in line.
it's like you growing up, I'm sure, and I'm not sure. I know as I reflect, there were certain situations and people I hung out with that probably weren't the best for me, but it also developed me into who I am today. So I don't have any regrets. I was lucky that I could side swipe some potential landmines growing up, right? They could have gone bad for me, but you're going to associate with a variety of people and you're going to get connected. But when you're really, shaping yourself, and even as you get older, you want to make sure, listen, if you want to be successful in life, you want to surround yourself with successful people, learn from mentors, have conversations with people who are headed in the same direction as you. It's like, it just makes sense, right? And the people you surround yourself is who you're eventually going to be. Like you want to know who somebody is, who are their friends, and you're going to find out who they are, I think.
Yeah. When you're growing up and you're learning, that's hard because you don't necessarily want to leave friends just because they are your friends and they're cool. It's, they might not be good for you, and it's going to be hard to step away from. And as you progress and get older and start to find your direction, that's really important. You got to gravitate towards what makes you feel good and what you're interested in. And it's hard because it's hard asking for help. It's hard going up to somebody and being like, you're awesome at that. I want to do that. Show me, please. That takes a lot of balls.
Right.
You don't have to say it in those words, but essentially that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Hey, and humbling yourself, like, because it's easy to, think like, I don't need anybody to show me anything. It's like, no, this person like knows something. I want to learn from them.
That's actually going back to what we talked about earlier, growing up in private, small school. It's like you don't really know that much because you're sitting in a classroom with the same, 10, 15, 25 people for 8 years. So you think your world is that. Like, how big is the world compared to that one classroom? So it's hard to imagine because I always thought, I was like, oh, I'm the cool kid. I had a girlfriend. Man, it must stink for the other ones. But then it's like, wow, the real world is out there.
And it's completely different than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, and sometimes you want to like coddle your kids and like keep them from certain things, and then sometimes you wonder, wow, do you just expose them to this? Because eventually, like, you're not going to have a choice. They're going to be
toss them in the pool.
I don't, it's sink or swim.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. You're constantly bombarded with these decisions and choices, and I always tell my wife, it's like, we're trying our best, but when we make decisions, we're going to have to commit and then live with the consequences. And then I don't know how you are with your wife, but a lot of times we don't see eye to eye with certain things. So it's like a struggle too,
I think we spoke about this a couple episodes back.
Yeah.
But,
so it's like, you got to find a nice sweet spot compromise.
Yeah. Look,
right?
If you're both the same, I mean, not that that's, not fun and exciting. You can't have yin and yang. You got to have yin and yang, right?
Yeah. I agree. And listen, from the perspective of growing up, it's like, I think that's why so many kids flourish when they have, a father and a mother, or, whatever, when they have different, models to look at. Right.
Well, it's important to have both, because they each have their role, and they're both very and equally important.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then if you don't have a mother or father, that you have like siblings to learn from, grandparents, but it's nice to get interesting perspective and modeling from different points of view, so that you can kind of figure out what you're going to be, because if you're just seeing one thing, it's like it'd be hard. It's hard in developing yourself, like, without being exposed to a lot of different stuff.
One thing I try to think about a lot is, regarding, kids, be disciplined with them. Obviously, you want to teach them right from wrong, and they evolve so quick. They grow so quick. What worked 1 month might not work the next because they're over that. They've already
they're
learned
constantly
from
challenging you too.
Exactly.
Want to figure out where they are in the chain of command.
I like to bring the 80-20 rule in, man. It seems to work with everything. It's like, look, be consistent and disciplined 80% of the time. But if they're gonna grow, they gotta dip their toe into some danger.
Yeah.
You gotta let them fall. You gotta let them, get scratched up and dig in dirt. And even, you gotta let them do something bad once in a while.
I agree. It's so hard to do that too.
It's like, so difficult because you don't know when that time comes. And when you bring it up, with your spouse, because, if your kid's in front of you and you're trying to teach them something and you haven't talked about before what the foundational core values are yet, you're going to be in some trouble. And that's when the kid gets the upper hand.
Oh yeah. When they see you at odds, forget it. They'll chew you up and spit you out.
Oh my gosh. So quickly.
And then they're picking sides. Like, listen,
hitting you
kids,
against each other.
You're not. Mommy and daddy are on the same team. They're not on your team.
Yeah, just learning over the past couple years. My son's going to be 3, and the things I've learned just watching a human grow. Like, I've learned so much in the past 3 years. It's unbelievable because you compare it to everything else. Like, I learned that from Luke. All right, how do I apply that in daily life? Let me take something good out of it. Drop the bad stuff he did, drop the negativity, and take the little bit I've learned and roll with it.
Yeah, they're sponges too. It's funny to see how they react to stimuli and how they learn from things. It's fascinating. Like, my wife and I were in a world of hurt because we had like them back to back to back. Our 2 sons are like 22 months apart, and then our daughters, but probably like 15, 16 months.
So was this planned?
What do you mean? What do you mean by planned?
The timing of your children's birth.
No, it was just spontaneous. We didn't plan anything.
Well,
had we had planned, we would probably plan a little better, right? It was like, no gap. It was like, you couldn't breathe.
All right, let me put it this way. When you spoke about having children with your spouse, did you want to have them close together?
I think we did. Yeah.
Because people go both ways, right?
Yeah. So we were like, I got married older. Like, I was in my 30s. My wife, same thing. So it was like, it wasn't like, let's do it right away. But, we weren't, we in that case, we weren't really planning a lot.
Yeah.
Kind of like just trying to enjoy each other. Like, especially as newlyweds, like trying to figure, living together and, getting excited to start a family at some point, and then, it just kind of happened. And
how long after you were married was?
Year and a half.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's not a lot of time.
No.
People are together years and years, I guess. So Kelly and I were 5 years out.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No. Listen, all shapes and sizes, all different times, and people have kids right away. People struggle. There's everything. Things just happen, right? And in our case, it was like, it is what it is. I didn't want to get too stressed out about it.
Yeah.
I just feel like when you plan stuff like that, there's certain things you can plan and there's certain things you can't plan.
Yeah.
I feel like it does you no good to plan stuff like that.
No.
Because like it's out of your control.
Exactly. And chances are it doesn't happen when it's planned. It's very difficult. You got that mental aspect, your mind telling your body certain things.
The mind is a strange thing. It's like, you get stressed out about it. Who knows? It's like you hear stuff like that all the time. Like people can have kids and then all of a sudden they adopt and then they have a kid. It's like, so it's, who knows? It's
and times have changed because like our parents, when they had kids, it was normal to spit out kids like 20, right? Early 20s. Get married, early 20s. And even before that, generations before, like teenagers.
Yeah.
So with us,
it's crazy. It's like,
with us, what I've heard from the professionals, psychologists and stuff that I listen to and follow, it's like, you shouldn't even consider it until you're 30 years old. You have a lot of growing up to do in your 20s.
Yeah, I don't think I was mature enough to have kids prior to that, but
no way.
there's something to be. It's like maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong, because it's like maybe we overparent. Are we the helicopter parent generation? Maybe having kids young, you're not over them as much, and maybe you're not doing them any favors. I mean, I remember that's the one thing I remember growing up, having a lot more liberty than I give my kids. Like,
what do you mean exactly?
Like, I don't think my oldest is 8. I think at 8, I was probably on my bike, like riding down a food bag. I mean, this is the time. I don't know if this is the time when kids are starting to appear on milk cartons. Like, this kid disappeared. Like, I think that shifted things a little, where people got a little more worried. But like, I remember my mother was a spectacular mother. Would leave me in the car to go into the store. Like, if you do that now, you get arrested. Like, so it's like times change. Like, it was a lot different. Like, I remember driving in the back of my grandfather's truck. Like, now you have to be like strapped onto a missile to get in a car. Like, it's like it was like 17-point harness. Like, I was in the back of a truck.
Some of the old station wagons had seats facing back.
My wife said they used to go to Florida like on a family vacation and put like a mattress in the back of their station wagon so the 3 kids could sleep. But now it's like you got to have like kids like tied. Their legs have to be tied to cushions, and you have to wear a helmet while you're in the car and
have a GPS device.
Yeah,
I mean, look,
everybody's got to wear a mouth guard while they're in there just in case there's a crash. It's like,
I'm not gonna lie though, and I just thought about this the other day because someone brought up Elon Musk and how pretty soon, a computer is gonna control your thoughts. You'll be able to portray your thoughts without speaking. Like, we'll have a conversation without saying a word.
That's creepy.
Now, that's creepy.
If my inner monologue was released to the world,
or at least communicating with someone, like literally having a conversation without speaking. So we're just looking at each other, and I'm hearing what you hear just by talking to myself in your own words.
I hope I'm dead long before that ever happens.
But I brought it up because it's like, it is scary. Having kids, and bro, I was brought up the same way. Look, I was out of the house the second I got home from school, and I didn't come in until it was time to eat, and the door was locked. I couldn't even get in. Like, get outside, don't come back, and even after dinner, don't come back until you're ready to go to bed. But back then, you're right. Milk cartons were starting to come out with kids' faces on it, and it might seem so more glaring nowadays and scarier. But maybe if you think about it this way, there was no one talking about it back then. What did you pick up a newspaper? Did you hear it on the nightly news?
Right. Everything now is like super like,
you can find any information anywhere in a second. So maybe it was the same back then. Nobody
knew and nobody cared enough because they didn't know.
You're right. It wasn't so scary because they didn't think it would happen to them because no one knew how much it really happened.
Ignorance is bliss.
But you're right. I feel super sad for my kids growing up and not being able, like, I just know it. They're not going to be able to experience the same kind of things. Like, we're going to have to take them camping with family and, put a little GPS device on them. They put microchips in dogs.
They're going to chip them eventually. Yeah, I agree.
You know what? I'll tell you what right now. I'm all for it. If I can, be comfortable with knowing my kid is at least traceable. Sorry. That's how I feel now, at least.
Yeah. No,
if it can't harm them, you put a little something under their skin.
The problem is the bad guys are always ahead of the curve. They'll
very right.
Figure out a way to like take the chip out or something.
Very true.
We're not far from having the Demolition Man car where you get in an accident and it fills up with like foam that freezes and saves you. Why don't we have that yet? I figured we'd have that by now.
I was thinking about too the other day. I think maybe it's selfish. I think we grew up in the best time. Like, we're pretty similar in age. We're not many years apart.
Yeah, no.
But we literally grew up when we were born. I don't think there was any internet. By the time we were old enough to start using the internet, it was so new. And then, like, we were just saying, we didn't have cell phones. I had a beeper when I was a teenager. There were cell phones out, but there was no way.
There were payphones.
The cool things to do. Yeah, I used a payphone. My first cell phone was a Nextel, the ones that go, and you talk like a walkie-talkie was the coolest thing. I think I was 18 when I got that thing. And you know where I got it? Not Verizon, not at a cell phone store, not at a kiosk in the mall. Staples. I had to go into Staples, and it was in a box. Like you buy just anything in Staples, like you buy a pack of paper. All right? You had to purchase it at Staples, take it home, and call the number on the back to activate it.
And you didn't wait in line for 2 days to get it.
No.
That's
And
great.
it's just so unbelievable what kids these days, what they have access to.
Guys, remember the rotary phones?
Yeah. Well, the house my mom lives in now, my great grandmother grew up in, and she had one in there forever. I remember using it as a kid all the time.
I'm kind of like jealous of that. I remember people in my field. It's like you got called to do something, no one expected you to get it. It's like nowadays we expect it done right now. Like if you call someone, you expect them to pick up. Imagine like leaving a voicemail. No, I'll just text them. Like there's immediate responses.
Yeah.
To where you don't if you don't get a response, you're like, what? Like my wife's terrible at that. People will call or text her and she doesn't respond. But it's like, in a way, I'm envious of her. It's like, wow, I wish I was like that.
She doesn't have that burden over her to.
There's nothing that like makes me more nervous than like the green with the red 1 or 2 or 3. And on the iPhone where you gotta like see the message, like open it up and then it'll go away.
Yeah.
Like my wife has like
the
78.
notifications.
Yeah, like like the green text, and then it has like a number next to it, which means like you have like 17 texts unread.
Yes, I'm like you in that way. I got to get rid of it.
I can't. Yeah, it gives OCD. Like I can't.
Yeah, I don't.
My wife have like 85. Like I just look at her phone, I like break out in sweats.
I can't. If I have any apps on my phone where that has to be there, like I just can't take it off. I move it to another page so I don't see it. I don't want to see it.
I mean, let me see if I have any right now. Oh my God. I have 2. See, this is what I'm talking about.
See, even that, right?
Look.
Just that 2.
It's got a red 2. Like, once I get off air, ladies and gentlemen, because right now I'm on air. I don't know what that means, but I'm on it.
You bring up a good point about, instant gratification. Because, look, if I text someone and I'm, like, urgently needing to hear from them, like, let's take, for example, our spouse. Like, in the middle of the day, you think of something, you need the answer now, or you want it now, just for your own selfish reasons.
Yeah.
And then they don't get back to you. Like, that creates a little bit of, like, fire, and you're like, what the heck is going on? I see you on your phone all the time. Like, why aren't you responding?
How many times will you call back in a row?
Yeah. Like, I know you have your phone there. I know you see me. I know you hear me. And what I always try to remind myself, just be patient, because we're so impatient now, because we're jealous of everyone moving forward because they're, instant gratification. It's hard to sit back and just breathe.
No, it's funny. It's like binge watching. Like, remember when you had to wait a week to watch a show?
I remember opening the TV guide and reading on a piece of paper what show was coming on.
Like, when's Thundercats' second episode coming on? Can't wait. Now it's like season 5. Like, I'm up at like 5 in the morning. Like, I got to watch the next episode.
Well, look how quickly the going to the movies just changed. We were forced into doing that, and I think that had to happen because of the pandemic. We went
Time
through.
is flying,
but look how quickly that changed.
You think
In
we'll go
the matter
back?
of less than a year, we went from paying a crazy amount of money to see something because it just came out and it's not available on TV, and now it's there. You can watch it on your phone.
You think we'll go back to watching stuff in movies again?
I think that movie theaters will still be open, yes.
Good.
As successfully as it once was, no.
Maybe they'll change. They'll be more comfortable.
Well, yeah.
Maybe you won't have to, get a second job to pay for a soda and popcorn.
Maybe it was good because, honestly, I've gone to other places around the country and been able to drink a beer or even have food watching a movie. But what I'm used to here locally in town, like, it's not like that. And growing up, going to this place was the only place going growing up. It was like, wow, I can get a drink? I was used to sneaking stuff in.
Well, listen, if you're not bringing your own candy in the movie theater, there's something wrong with you. All right,
Absolutely.
because I'm all about bringing Twizzlers in there, Skittles, whatever you can get your hands on, and paying $7 for whatever it is. Well, listen, time is flying when you're having fun, for sure. Today, I mean, we ebbed and flowed, but we went a lot of different places, and I'd like to thank the audience for bearing with us. I will be leaving here and heading over to the Express to take a look at what they offer for the big guys.
Oh, yeah. Wait,
and hopefully come in with a
online.
nice shirt next week. Next week we won't be here. You'll be on vacation, but you guys won't know any better because we just periodically bring things out. We just release content once a week because our magician, Justin, he knows how to produce
and like
let
you said,
loose the content.
We want it to happen organically, and I think we're doing an okay job so far.
I think we're muddling along pretty well. I think that we're doing pretty good for two rookies.
But honestly, if anyone's still watching by the end of the video or the podcast, I think it's important to say that we really want to hear from you. You know, it's going to be one of the hardest things to do, to read critique, but I think it's absolutely necessary. So please don't hesitate.
Say your worst. I'm ready for it.
Yep.
And if you want to say something nice, like I'm handsome and you think I'm a nice person, go for it.
Yeah.
Love that too.
That'll do too.
Yep.
All right, Steve. Good stuff.
This is me signing off saying, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to put your pajamas on.
Peace. What? Where the hell did that come from?
I loved it. That's how you sign off from a YouTube video, okay, folks? Are we still filming? Oh, God.